Hi, my name is Joey Kingsley, and I'm a research assistant for the William Blake Archive at the University of Rochester. Today, I'd like to give you a brief introduction to the editorial principles behind the archive's diplomatic transcriptions, so that you can compare objects in different copies of Blake's works side by side. Many of us first encounter Blake's poetry in the Norton Anthology, in a normalized text, meaning that a poem or longer work is in a single canonical form from which Blake's idiosyncratic spelling, wording, and revisions have been omitted. The complete poetry and prose of William Blake, edited by David Erdman and available in its entirety on the Blake Archive, is also limited to one version of a single copy of a poem or illustrated book. In reality, though, Blake often produced multiple versions, copies, or sets of the same work. The Book of Thel, for instance, is an illuminated book of which Blake made 16 copies from 1789 until 1818. The Blake Archive features all 16 copies with diplomatic transcriptions and editorial notes about variations in spelling, revision, or word choice, whereas the Poetry Foundation, another publication formatted for the internet, provides a single canonical copy. As you can see, the copy on the Poetry Foundation's website includes quotations that are absent in Blake's original, copy D, as well as variations in end-line punctuation. This may seem like a minor difference, but the Blake Archive considers each object in a copy to be its own work. The archive's editorial principle is to provide every single copy of the work in question and to transcribe exactly what is on the page, regardless of whether it bears confusing phrasing, spelling errors, inserted text, or lines redacted or overwritten by Blake. This makes it possible to compare different objects in different copies. Let's look at copy H of the Book of Thel. The diplomatic transcription appears to the right, and to the left, there are editorial notes about word variations between this copy and copies K and R. Designed to sustain serious scholarship, the archive's transcription policy is to collate its transcriptions with those of G.E. Bentley and David Erdman, two of the most cited Blake scholars, and to provide a note when there is significant variance between copies, or between their readings and the archives. This is important because unlike printed editions of Blake, the texts in the archive are specific to individual objects. Let's compare copy H and copy K. Between these two copies, we see variations in spelling and punctuation. Here, in line 12 of copy H, there is a colon, and in copy K, a semicolon. In object 5, in line 7, we read emerged as ending in GD, and in copy K as ending in G''D. Because the arrangement and content of Blake's works often vary from copy to copy and from object to object, it is important that each object transcription be unique to a particular page or plate or sheet of paper in a particular copy. This way, the transcriptions, set beside reproductions of Blake's originals, can most nearly approximate those originals. For example, we see a more significant variation between the word gentle and gently in object 3 of copies H and K. This is the difference between "and gentle sleep the sleep of death, and gentle hear the voice," and "gentle sleep the sleep of death, and gently hear the voice." Our diplomatic transcriptions provide approximations of Blake's texts, making it possible for scholars to analyze Blake's capitalization, punctuation, spelling, and page layout for different objects in different copies of the same work. I hope this introduction to the archive's diplomatic transcription feature was helpful. You can find information about the color code that fulfills diplomacy in our video, Transcriptions and the Color Code. Check out our blog and Twitter for more information on the Blake Archive and for publication announcements.